Hey friends, this is Ajay. I am Chief Data Scientist at IT Bodhi. I am mentoring two programs here. One is Data Science Certification Program and second is Machine Learning with Python Certification Program. So today we are going to cover a very important topic, that is bias and variance. So today we will try to understand the fundamental and the underlying concept with bias and variance. Why bias and variance trade-off is so much important for a machine learning model. Okay, so let's start. So when I'm saying a machine learning model, so machine learning model is nothing but a mathematical function that gives me the relationship between the target variable and the predictors. Let's say, for example, we just take a very simple example. Okay, let's say we take the examples for the weather prediction. So weather prediction, let's say I just want to predict whether it is going to rain or it is not going to rain. A simple classification problem. Okay, so rain or no rain may be affected by a number of parameters, whether what is the temperature, what is the humidity, what is wind speed, and etc. A number of parameters. So now I want to create a machine learning model that is actually going to give me the prediction whether it is going to be a rain or there is no rain in the coming weeks or coming months, whatever is a use case. So these are the parameters that are given to me that are actually going to help me to build the machine learning models. When I'm saying machine learning model, so actually it is a mathematical relationship between target value and the predictors. And what are the predictors? Predictors, these are the predictors which actually is going to help me to do the prediction. And what is my prediction? Prediction is my rain or no rain. So this is my target value. And these are my predictors. So when I am saying machine learning model is nothing but a mathematical relationship between the target value and the predictors. So this relationship would be something like this. It would be a function on all the parameters: temperature, humidity, wind, and what it is going to give me, the rain or no rain. So y equal to something. So this is the kind of a function that's give me the relationship between the y and temperature, humidity, wind, and all the things. Y is nothing but the rain or no rain. So when the temperature is going to vary, when humidity is going to vary, when wind is going to vary, and all the other parameters are going to vary, then they are going to affect the final outcome, that is rain or no rain. So when I'm going to make a machine learning model, so I need to first collect all the data on which I am going to make my prediction model. And my prediction model for this example is to predict the rain or no rain. So let's say first I collect all the data. Collect all the data. Let's say I collect data for meteorological departments for last 25 years. Okay, and they gives me all the data for each and every year. What was the temperature, what was the humidity, what was the wind speed for each and every day. Okay, and whether the rain happened on the same day or the next 2 day or whatever. So this kind of data is I have collected from the meteorological department for last 25 years. Now I have the data. Now using this data, I want to make a prediction model. Let's say in 2020 and 1st of August, I want to predict that whether there is going to be rain in next week or not. So I will going to use the current data, whether what is the temperature for this week, temperature, humidity, wind speed and everything. And on the basis of that, I am going to predict whether it is going to be rain or there is no rain in the coming week. Okay, so this collected data is going to help me to make a model. Okay, and it is going to predict rain and no rain. Now, what is the most important thing when I'm going to make a model? For any machine learning model, there are two important factors. First is accuracy, and second, generalization. What does it mean, accuracy? Accuracy means that my model is going to predict the right value or it is not going to predict the right value. If it is able to predict the right thing, whether it is rain or no rain, then my model predicts accuracy is on the higher side. But if my model is not able to predict the right thing, the real outcome, whether it is going to rain or not out rain, then my accuracy is on the lower side. Let's say I want to predict for the current week and I have given all the information to my model, and my model is saying that it is going to rain tomorrow, but it is not raining tomorrow. Then in that case, my model is not working correctly. My model was predicting rain, but actually there is no rain. In that case, my accuracy is on the lower side. So accuracy is evaluated how actually my model is giving the prediction. If they are higher, if they are correct predictions, then my accuracy is on the higher side. If they are wrong prediction, then my accuracy is on the lower side. This is the one factor, how I am going to judge my model. And secondly, generalization. So as we have earlier discussed that my model is going to build up on the data available to me. So when I'm going to collect the data to make my model, then I have a limitation that I cannot have the infinite data because the rain is happening on the earth for billions of the years. So I have a limitation. I cannot have the data from the last billions of the years. So I can have the data that is available to me. So let's say for we have started the documentation of the data for the last 25 years. So I have the data available for me for the last 25 years. So that is first limitation of my data limitation. Okay, that I don't have the infinite data, I have the finite data. And what is second limitation? Second limitation is that because when I am going to make my model, so I have collected the parameters where there is temperature, humidity, wind speed and everything. But even I am not sure ki how many parameters are actually going to affect the rain. There may be 100 of parameters, there may be a 2000 of parameters. Okay, that is a scientific evaluation, but ultimately I cannot capture each and every parameter correctly and all the parameters. If I am able to do so, then will be able to predict always with the 100% accuracy. But I don't have all the parameters. That is a limited with. I don't have all the parameters. So I have limited data and I have limited parameters. Okay, and on the basis of this limited data, okay, I am going to make a prediction model. Okay, that should predict. I am not saying that it will going to give the prediction on the 100% accuracy. No, that is not my expectation. My expectation is that it should give me the maximum accuracy because my data is limited. Okay, so that I don't expect it should be 100% accurate. Okay, so now when I'm going to make my model, so my model goes through three things. First is training of the model, Second is testing of the model. And finally is on the production, that is the prediction, real-time prediction. So training of the data is done on the seen data because that data is available to the model, and on the top of that the model is built, that is called the seen data. The testing data, when my data is already built, I just want to test the accuracy of my model, then it is the unseen data that my model actually has not seen. And the third part is the prediction. When my model is done with the training and testing, it is being deployed in the production, okay, and where it is actually giving me the prediction on the actual real-time data, that is again the unseen data. So my model is actually trained on the limited data, that is seen data, and that is very limited. And I'm going to use my data in the production, that is the unseen data. So there may or may not be a case when the some of the patterns which are actually not available at the training time in the training data. So my model would not be able to capture these patterns, and my model will not understand that relationship. In that case, my model would not be going to give me the accurate result in the production data or the unseen data, because unseen data is having some pattern that actually not available in the training data. That is a very valid scenario. But despite of this fact, what is my expectation from model? My expectation from the model is that, let's say my model is working on the 60% accuracy. My model is working on the 60% accuracy on the testing time. What does that mean? That means whatever the data is available to me, okay, I have created a model on top of that, okay, and I am using the same training data for the prediction. That's on the same data, it is giving the 60% accuracy. That is my training time accuracy. That's on the testing time. This is the unseen data, okay. Let's say on the unseen data, because this data is unseen and there may be some pattern that is not available in the training time, so let's say accuracy comes as, let's say, about 55%. In that case, the accuracy on the training data and accuracy on the testing data is differing by the 5%. In that case, my model is behaving different way on the training and a different way on the testing. That is actually a valid scenario, but what is my expectation? My expectation is that ideally it should behave more or less on the same way. It should behave more or less same way. Its prediction power should be more or less same on the training and the testing data, right? Because ultimately I am going to use my model on the unseen data. But if my data is going to give me the right prediction on the training, but it is not able to give me the right prediction on the testing, that it is not useful for me. It's because my model is going to use the unseen data. So that is called the generalization. My model should behave more or less the same way on training and the testing. So accuracy would be more or less same on training and test, or you can say seen data or unseen data. Then how it is going to be possible? How we are going to achieve it and how we are going to measure it? Because yes, we have understood it, because there is a difference in the patterns in the training and testing and the prediction data that we see seen and unseen data. So there is going to be difference, okay. So but the thing is that how we are going to measure it, to what the difference is coming first thing, and how we are going to overcome it, okay, because my purpose is to have the generalized model. So that is where the bias and variance comes into the picture. So bias and variance is actually one of the measure, okay, to find out how my model is behaving on training and testing first thing, okay, and how I'm going to control these two parameters to make my model generalized. That is called bias and variance trade-off. I think that is pretty much clear now, because I have gone into much detail, okay. So let's say we have understood. Let's come here. So we have understood ultimately we are trying to find out a relationship, a mathematical relationship. That is something, let's say in the given training data, this is the relationship y equal to fx plus e. Okay, that is the real training time data that is available to me, and that is the mathematical relationship as of now presented in the data. That is error term. Okay, and that may be because of some data noise or some other factors, but that error is present in the data. Okay, and this y is, that's my prediction, and this fx is a function on top of my predictors. So when I'm going to create a machine learning model, so my purpose is to make a function, let's say that function is called f hat x, and I am going to approximate this function. So because if I am able to approximate this function, that means I am actually able to understand the underlying relationship between the predictors and the prediction, and that is actually a machine learning model. So I need to approximate this thing. Okay, this is I want to find out a new function f hat x that will actually approximate the underlying real-time function in the training data. That would actually give me the relationship that is in the data between the predictors and the prediction. That is my target value. But as we have understood, because we are doing the reverse engineering, so we will not be able to learn all the hidden patterns from the data, or all the difficult, or you can say complex relationship between the data. Okay, because we have understood there may or may not be all the patterns available in the data at the first thing. And the second is because maybe a lot of parameters are still missing that we could have used if they had been available to make the f hat function. So that's why we are saying we are able to find out the approximate of the function. So let's say we have used some machine learning algorithms. So machine learning algorithms are used to find out this f hat function, which is actually approximate of the actual function. So we can use any of the algorithm, where if it is a classification problem or whether it is a regression problem. Let's say we are talking about supervised algorithm. So we can use any of the algorithm on the basis of what kind of problem it is. So ultimately we are going to find out this f hat function. Okay, but that f hat function is just an approximate of the actual function. So there should be some error. Let's say, for example, my problem is of regression problem. I am working on the regression problem. Okay, let's say I am using the error function because there should be some difference in this function and this function. I call it error. So my error is actually this thing. Okay, error in the prediction. Error in the prediction actually. So in regression actually we use the MSE, mean squared error. That is just a square of this. So this is the error in the prediction between the actual function and my machine learning model, that is this f hat x. So this is my MSE. This is my MSE. This is my error. So if I actually decompose this function mathematically, so it actually becomes equal to bias square plus variance plus some error. So this is, and here we can see there are three terms. First bias, second variance, and third is error. So this error is coming in my error, this because of this irreducible error. That is, this is irreducible error, because that error was actually presented in my actual data. So whether I'm going to use any of the algorithm, whether any robust algorithm I'm using, but still I will not be able to remove this error because this error is present actually in the data. So this is irreducible error. And what are the two other parameters? The other parameters are bias and variance. That means my error is actually composed of two parts, bias and variance, that I can control it. How my error is going to behave, that is based on the governed by the bias and variance. So these are two important factors, bias and variance. Okay, so this is the thing we have seen already, this part, MSE, bias plus variance plus irreducible error. Okay, so now we have seen what is a machine learning model, how I'm going to train it with a seen or unseen data, and how actually my error is made of. My error is made of bias plus variance plus irreducible error. Okay, so now we will see what is bias and what is variance actually. Okay, so what is bias? So bias is the difference. Bias is the difference between the average prediction of our model and the correct target. And what is my average prediction by model? That is f hat x. And what are x? X are my predictors. Okay, so let's say for any given points x, true value is fx and my model is f hat x. So my bias is fx minus fx. Any difference between the target value is my bias. So difference between the target value is my bias. Okay, so that is my bias. Difference between the target value, actual target value, and what my model is predicting. Let's say my model is predicting value x hat, and let's say my model is predicting y bar. Okay, and the actual value is y. So this difference is actually bias. This term is called the bias term. That actually gives me the difference in the final prediction. What does it mean? What does it mean? What is the bias? Because we have understood, mathematically we have understood the bias. So bias is actually also called the underfitting of model. So here we can say, let's say if my model is giving me y hat value that is too far from the actual value. In that case, my bias will going to increase. If there is very much difference in the prediction, actually if I'm giving the wrong prediction, in that case bias is going to increase. If I'm giving more or less the right prediction, then this difference or this bias is going to decrease. So it entirely depends my prediction power. If I'm going to predict the right thing, then my bias will reduce. If I'm using the bad prediction, then my bad prediction, my bias will going to increase. If I'm giving the more or less right prediction, my bias is going to decrease. So bias is also called the underfitting of the model. When your model is biased, that means it is not giving you the right prediction. And when your model is not giving you the right prediction, your model will not give you the right prediction when actually it is not able to understand or not able to capture the underlying relationship between the data, okay, or the underlying complex pattern that is available in the data. That means the algorithm you are applying is not able to capture the underlying pattern in the data. Okay, that means it is not able to learn this function. This is the function that I need to learn. This is the actual function that I want to learn, and that is my model. That means my model is actually not able to learn this function properly. My model is not able to learn this function properly. That's why I am giving the wrong prediction. and I am giving the wrong prediction, my bias is no higher side. That means my model is very simple. Whatever the algorithm I'm applying, this is a simple algorithm. This is a simple algorithm. And that's why it is not able to capture, not able to capture pattern from the data. So what could be the reason? The reason is that we have taken, generally it happens with the linear algorithms. Generally it happens with the linear algorithms. Let's say I am using the linear regression. So linear regression have some assumptions about the data. So these are called parametric algorithm. When I am using any parametric algorithm, so it is having some prior assumptions about the data. If these assumptions are satisfied, then actually we are going to use the linear regression. So linear regression have some basic assumption about the data, and in the same way we have also the logistic regression. So these have prior assumptions about the data. So when my algorithm is actually having the prior assumption about the data, then in that case it is not able to capture the underlying complex pattern because it already have some assumption about the data. Okay, so it will not try to go deeper and understand the underlying patterns. So when my algorithm is a parametric algorithm and it has assumptions of the data, then it is not going to learn the complex patterns. That means it's a very simple algorithm, and because of the assumptions, it has become a very simple algorithm. So assumptions made any of the algorithm very simple, then it learns very fast way because it is very less complex. So its training time is very less, but at the same time it will not able to learn the underlying complex pattern from the data. So biasness for any algorithm or any model is inherent to the algorithm. If I am going to use a simple algorithm, then it is not going to able to learn the complex pattern from the data. So my prediction will suffer. If my prediction is going to suffer, then my bias is on the higher side. If I am going to use the complex algorithm, then it will be able to understand the difficult pattern from the data and my bias would automatically come down. So linear algorithm would have the bias on the higher side. And if I have the non-linear algorithm, which do not have any assumption of the data, let's say decision tree, SVM, KNN, these are having the less bias. Okay, and what is my desired? My desired thing is, because biasness is difference between the actual value and the predicted value. So this biasness should, the desired value is biasness should always be less. Bias, low bias is desired, because if there is low bias, then I am having the higher accuracy. So low bias is desired. If my model is giving the low bias, okay, then my model is good. If my model is giving the high bias, then my model is not giving the right result. So what is bias? So bias means my prediction is not the right prediction. And actually when the bias happens from the algorithm when I'm applying, it is a very simple algorithm. But this is, but how actually I will identify the bias? The bias is actually happening. So how will I identify the bias? I understand why bias is happening and what is bias. But how will I identify? How will I identify that this is a high bias? How will I identify the high bias? So this is very simple. If on training data and my test data, if my model score or model accuracy is higher, on training data but lower on test data, then my model is having the high bias. That means when my model is having the training data higher, in the same way, sorry, when I am having the also train data, because my model is not able to capture the underlying pattern from the data, so my training score as well as my test score would both be on the lower side. Both will be on the lower side because my algorithm is very simple and it is not able to capture the underlying pattern from the data. So in that case, my training accuracy as well as test accuracy both will be on the lower side. These are my accuracy and both are my on the lower side. So how can I identify? Let's say I train my model, let's say on training and test. Let's say at training time my accuracy is coming at, let's say, 60%, and definitely it is going to reduce on the test. Okay, let's say on the test it is coming, let's say 58%. In that case you can say on the both the test and train it is on the lower side, because I want prediction, I is striving to prediction on the 100% correct, but it is giving almost 60%. Because let's say if I'm just taking any guess kind of thing, so in that case it is a little better than the guess. It is not giving me the expected thing, it is a very less accuracy for me. So in that case my accuracy is on the lower side from both test and the train. Then it is called the bias. My model is biased, my model is having the high bias. That means the algorithm I'm using is very simple and it is not able to capture the underlying pattern from the data. In that case my prediction will suffer and it is having the high bias. So my model is having high bias when I am using the prior assumptions about the data. When I have prior assumptions about the data, then my training will be fast, but actually my model will not try to learn the complex pattern. Okay, so that is generally linear algorithm are suffering from the high bias. So now let's try to understand what is high variance. So variance is amount the estimate of the target function will change if different training data was used. This is my target function and this is my actual function which I want to approximate. So variance is amount of the estimate the target function will change if the different training data was used. Because I am using training data to find out this function. I am using training data to find out this function, and this function is actually nothing but the machine learning model. Okay, so variance means, let's say I have certain amount of data. Let's say I had divided in two parts, 50% and 50%, let's say. Okay, and let's say I am creating one model on this 50% 50% and second model on this 50%. Okay, so variance means, variance signify, let's say if I'm going to change my training data, so my model should not behave on the different way. Let's say because I want to learn this function, and because these both the data is coming are actually behaving in this way, fx. Okay, this data is actually behaving for the fx. But let's say because I have divided in two part, so it should not be like the model trained on this function is different and model trained on this data is different. That means if my model is having the high variance, that means my fx learned here and fx learned here should be similar. It should not be different, because data is actually coming from the same pattern fx. They're coming from the same pattern fx. But because I am using the different data, it should not be like that my target function should be learned differently. If they are learned differently, that means actually my learning of the model is very much sensitive to the training data. If my model is very sensitive to the training data, in that case, the final function that my machine learning model will be learned differently. It would be different and this would be different, and it should not be the case. This is the variance. The variance says if my training data is changing, then my target function should not change. It should be approximate same. So that is called the variance. It should not vary with a different training data set. It should be almost same because ultimately they are coming from the same population. My training data is coming from the same population. So when I'm training my data, okay, on a different training data set, so it should not behave differently. It should be more or less same. That is called the variance. It should have minimum variance. If it is having the high variance, if it is having the high variance, then this final function of the machine learning model are will be learned differently. If it is having the low variance, then in that case, these both functions will be learned the same function. They are equally more or less same. That is called the low variance. Okay, so when actually it is happening, high variance and low variance. So low variance happens, high variance happen actually when you have very complex algorithm. When you use very complex algorithm, then it will try to learn all the complex patterns from the data. Okay, and sometimes what happens, because if my algorithm is very complex, so if any noisy data is available or any outliers is also available in my data, so my model will also learn that pattern. But actually that pattern is limited only to the my trained data. That is actually not complete picture. That is, that pattern is actually not available in the complete data. That is a noise in my training data, training sample. But my machine learning algorithm will also learn that noise. If my machine learning will learn that noise, in that case, my machine learning model will differ from sample to sample of the training data. Because my machine learning algorithm is so complex, it will learn a very complex underlying noise pattern also. So high variance happens when my machine learning model is very complex, and it becomes very sensitive to noise in training data. So in that case, my model becomes very sensitive to training data. If training data is changing, so my model will change, and that is actually not the ideal scenario. What is my ideal scenario? My ideal scenario is that if my training data is changing, so actually it should not. It should actually discard the noise term, because noise is specific to the training samples, but actually it is not the real picture in the complete data. So I need the low variance. So we have understood complex algorithm is basically falls under the high variance categories. Let's say for the non-linear algorithms, like your SVM, decision tree, neural networks, and your KNN, and many other algorithms. If they are non-linear algorithm, okay, then that means they will try to learn more complex pattern from the data, and it is always a possibility that they will train on the noise in the sample as well. So in that case, they becomes very sensitive to the training data. If this training sample is going to change, then your learning model will be going to be changed. That is called the high variance. And what is the expectation? Expectation is low variance. So we have understood why it is happening. Okay. Now we'll try. How will I identify if my model is having the high bias? Identify. So it is again very simple. First, I will train my model on the trained data, and this is my test data. I'm going to test my model on the test data. If my model accuracy is on the higher side, let's say model accuracy is higher side, let's say on the training data, let's say it is coming around, let's say 99%, for example. On test data, it decrease, is on the higher side, and test, let's say it decrease, let's say, or 85%. So in that case, my model is actually behaving very well on the trained data, because I am trained my model on the training data and I am doing the prediction on the same data. So in that case, my accuracy on training data is on the higher side, because it has learned all the complex pattern from the data on the training data only. It has also learned the noise. That's why prediction on the training is always on the higher side. But when I change the data, that is actually is not in the training data. There might be some patterns, okay, which is not available here, or something, the noise which is available in the training data, that is not in the test data. In that case, the accuracy is going to come down. So this is the metric of the high variance. That means my accuracy on the training data is on the higher side, but testing on the lower side. That signify that I have the high variance in my model. That is also called the overfitting of the data. That my model is actually overfit on the training data. That it is actually overlearned the data. It has overlearned the data means it has learned the noise from the data as well. That's why it is not a generalized model. When I have the overfitting model, or when you can say when I have the high variance is my model, that means my model is not generalized. My model is not generalized because it is behaving differently on training on test data. It is not generalized model. Okay, so this is, we have understood what is bias and what is variance. Okay, so now we'll try to understand how it is going to see how we can identify in the regression, how we can handle the classification problem. Just try to understand it. Okay, so this is okay, let's go for the regression. So this is my regression problem with a simple example. This is area. On the basis of area, I am going to predict my price. This is a two-dimensional data. I am having only one predictor and have only one target value. This is two-dimensional data. Okay, here some points are given to me. Okay, let's say you can see this data is non-linear. Non-linear means that I cannot make this relationship is not linear, because if it is a linear relationship, that this data should be something like this. There should be on the more or less behaving a line pattern. This is area and this is price. If it is a linear relationship, if I am increasing the area, then price should be increases, or if I am decreasing the area, then price should decrease. But in that case, this should be the case. But here we can see this is not the case. So I don't have the linear relationship between the area and the price. So in that case, I cannot use a line to identify this relationship. Let's see this image. So if I try any of the line, but actually it is not going to represent me the correct relationship. Let's say this is the blue line, or let's say this line or this line. Whatever I am going to find out, actually it is not going to give me the right relationship, because this data is not linear. So in that case, this is non-linear data, and I am going to apply the linear relationship, linear regression. So linear regression is ultimately draw a line to find a relationship. So in that case, because data is non-linear, but my algorithm is linear, then it will not able to capture the underlying pattern. In that case, my model is underfit. Underfit means it is having the high bias. It's very simple algorithm. In the same way, let's say I'm going to increase the degree of linear regression. I go for the polynomial regression. In that case, what the polynomial regression is going to do, it is going to curve the line. Let's say I'm going to increase my degrees of my features. I'm going to take my features in the higher degrees, in the higher dimensions. Second, it was only single dimension. Okay, now it is second dimension, third dimension, fourth dimension. I'm taking my feature in the fourth dimension. Now it is going to cover all, it is going to cover the line so much that it is going from each and every point. In that case, my model is actually able to capture all the hidden patterns, because it is, because let's say if I am going to predict target value for this data, so it is going to predict the correct value because my model is actually capturing this, it is going through this data point only. Okay, so my accuracy would be 100% side, my accuracy would be 100% because my model has captured, my model is coming through this point. But that is actually, this in this case, this model is called the overfit, because this model is actually overlearned the data. In that case, let's say any in that, this is not training data, let's say with testing data, that in the testing time, let's say data is coming in such a way. In that case, you can see training time and the testing time, there is no much variance, not much variance with the data. But actually test data is having the little much variance in the data, but very few. But my model is overfitting on the training data, so actually it's very far from the test data. So there is error. If I am going to use the same model for the test data, then it is going to give me the error. So because my model is overfit, if there is slight difference, if a slight variation in the data, then it is going to give me the reduced accuracy. That means my model is overfit. Training time 100% accuracy, against prediction time or the testing time, it is giving me, let's say, 80% accuracy. Then it is overfit. Then what is just fit? Just fit means that my model is actually generalized model. Generalized model means it is going to give me the, it is more or less able to capture the hidden pattern from the data. It is not so simple and not very complex. It is a generalized model. It is going to give me the more or less same accuracy on the training data, on the test data. Let's say this is the model. This is very simple. This is very complex. This is generalized model. Let's say in that case, this is giving me the accuracy, let's say 90%. Okay, but let's say I'm going to add some test data as well here. So in that case, you can see there is no much difference happening for the data because error is more or less same. Okay, so in that case, my model is going to behave more or less the same way in the test data as well. So maybe the 89% or something. Okay, so in that case, my model is actually generalized model. It is giving me the more or less same accuracy or the same error on the training and test data. That means my model is just fit. It is not underfit, not overfit. This is the right fit. Okay, which is a generalized model. Okay, and there is very little variance. My data is in the prediction, there is little variance. If my data is coming from the training or my data is coming from the test, but accuracy will remain more or less on the same side, then my model is just right fit model. So this was a regression example. Let's go for the classification. In the same way, for the classification, this is data. I want to classify these two classes. This is a binary classification problem. Let's say this is a positive class and this is negative class. If again we can see, because we cannot classify these two classes with a line. This is a non-linear data. This is a non-linear data. So I cannot separate these two classes with a line because data is, because distance boundary cannot become linear. So if I try to use a linear model, linear classification model, let's say logistic model, logistic algorithm, which is a linear algorithm, which try to make a linear decision boundary. So in that case, I would not be able to classify them correctly, and my error would be on the higher side. Okay, and my accuracy would be either on the higher side and accuracy would be on the lower side, because my model is too simple. It is just try to create a line, okay, that is actually not capable to classify the positive and the negative class. Let's say I'm just make it is a polynomial logistic regression. Polynomial logistic. In that case, it will try to curve the line. Initially it was just a line. Now it will become a 4-degree polynomial. So line would be so much curved that it will try to classify each and every point. Let's say in that case accuracy would be 100%. Okay, because it has overlearned the data. It will try to classify each and every point correctly. Let's say if any new data comes, let's say in case any new data comes sometimes here, let's say this is the new data, this point, and let's say this is the point somewhere here. So in that case it will give the more classification error. It will give you the more classification error because it has given the same boundaries. But if I have a generalized boundary, in that case just try it. It's a generalized boundary. In that case, let's say my accuracy is not 100% because I am misclassifying 3 points here. So let's say my accuracy is, let's say it is 92%. Okay, but still if any data, new data is coming from the unseen data, this plus and plus, still this accuracy would be more or less same. Okay, it will not be much difference. So my model will generalize. This is my, so my overall accuracy on training on test will be near about 92%. Because my model is generalized. So what is my ultimate purpose? I need a generalized model. I am not caring about my training accuracy. Training accuracy gives me the incorrect picture. I actually look for the testing accuracy. What is my testing accuracy? Testing accuracy actually tells me how my model is actually behaving. And I actually look for my training and testing accuracy on more or less same side. If they are differing, that means my model is overfit. Okay, I want these on the same side. If they are on the same side, more or less same, then my model is more or less just fit, right model that actually I'm looking for. Okay, so I hope you understood this concept. So let's go for the bullseye. That is the diagram you will see everywhere on the internet. This is a bullseye. So just try to understand this diagram, what actually it represents in terms of bias and variance. So let's say this is target we want to hit, the middle one, the red one, and that red one is actually low bias and low variance. This is the bullseye. Okay, so the first one you can see, this is the red one is the point where is the correct prediction. Okay, so if in the first case you can see all the predictions that are in the mid. Okay, so this is the right prediction. First thing, right prediction is low bias. So I am having the low bias because my predictions are right. I am having the low variance. Low variance means if I am training on different model, so all the variance, all the predictions are more or less at the same point, around near about same point. There is no much variance in the prediction. If they are far from each other, then means there is very much variance in the prediction. So in that case, variance is low and the prediction error is low. That means I am having the low bias and the low variance. The second term, here you can see bias is low. Bias is low because more or less you can say all the points are near about this thing, right point. Okay, but variance is very high because all the points are very far from each other. You can say variance is very high. So I am having the low bias because all the points are near about the bullseye, but there is a very much variance in the prediction. Then with low bias and the high variance. Okay, in the third one, high bias. Why high bias? Because my prediction is inaccurate. All the points are far away from the bullseye, but low variance because all the predictions are near about. Okay, they are far away from the bullseye, but still they are together. Okay, there is no much variance. So I'm having the high bias but the low variance. In the last point, all the points predictions are also inaccurate and variance is also high. So this is high bias and high variance. So what actually I'm looking for? I am looking for this thing, low bias and low variance. That gives me the perfect model. Generalized model with a high accuracy and the higher generalization is the low bias and the low variance. So now the important concepts come ki how I can control this. How can I achieve the low bias and low variance? Because that is the ideal behavior. But the thing is that we have seen high bias. When the high bias happens, high bias happens when I have the simple model, simple algorithm. Okay, and high variance happens when I have the complex algorithm, your complex model. Okay, so when I'm going to use a simple algorithm, then bias on the higher side. When I'm going to use a complex algorithm, that is the higher side. So how can I find out the midway, that my algorithm is not so much complex and not so much simple? Then it would be more or less a kind of the right algorithm or the right model. How can I find out? Because bias and variance both are inverse to each other. Bias and variance are inverse to each other. If I'm going to increase it, then it is going to decrease. If I'm going to decrease it, then it is going to increase. So how can I control both the terms when they are proportional to each other? I want to find a right balance out of that. So that is called the bias and variance trade-off. So that you can also understood from this diagram. This is model complexity and this is system error. When I am going to increase the model complexity, then automatically error is going to reduce. Okay, so in that case, this is my bias. So bias is actually the error, system error. So when error model complexity is increasing, then bias is decreasing. That makes sense. Okay, and what is variance? Variance is actually model overfitting. When model is complex, then variance is going to increase. So this is actually when the model complexity is increasing, then variance is increasing. Why? Because my model is overfitting. It is over learning the data. So my error is actually will increase in the test data. Test. This is my test error. Test error will increase. Okay, but my in the case of bias, my bias is decrease. And this is my complete total error. And this total error is bias plus variance plus E, that is irreducible error that we have seen. So this is my complete error. So I need to find out a trade-off. This is something like this point where my error is minimum. So this is the point. So I need to find out this particular point when actually my error is minimum. And this is the point where I cannot go for the minimum bias, and I also cannot go for the minimum variance. Okay, because I am going for the minimum variance, then it is going, then at this particular point the bias will be high. But if I am going for the minimum bias, then my variance will be high. Okay, so I need to take a trade-off where more or less they are on the lower side. So this is the point where actually they are converging. So this is the point. So this is the point where actually error is minimum. So I am going to find out this particular point, and this is called the bias and trade-off, where not the bias on the very higher side and not the variance on the higher side, and actually they are more or less the trade-off kind of conditions when this is kind of generalized model and my error is minimum. So this is how we understand this concept. See, if my model is having high variance and high variance and high bias, we have understood this is the model is inconsistent and also accurate on prediction. What does it mean? High bias means inaccurate prediction, that is perfectly fine. And high variance, any model is inconsistent and it is giving high score on the training and but the low score on the testing. So what is that one? This one. This is my training error, high bias and high variance. Okay, so training error is on the higher side. Okay, and the testing error is on the higher side. That is mata prediction is on the lower side, incorrect prediction. And also the difference between the training and testing error is on the 15% difference, and model is overfit. This is the case of high bias and high variance. Training error and testing error both are on the high side, and also the difference between them is also wide. Okay, model is overfitting and simple algorithm as well. Okay, same low bias and low variance and high bias, low variance and high bias. When if I am having the low variance and high bias, where is this? Low variance and high bias. If I'm having the low variance means then but the score is more or less same. Okay, okay, there is no overfit model. Okay, my model is not overfitted. Okay, and the high bias means my model is very simple. My model is simple. Okay, this is this thing. High bias means my model is very simple, so error will be on the higher side on training and testing. Okay, but low variance means there will be model is not overfitted, so training and testing accuracy would be more or less same, so error would be on the more or less same side. So this is high bias and the low variance. Second, high variance and the low bias. This is high variance and the low bias. High variance means model is overfit, and training error is less and testing error is high, so this gap would be wider. Okay, so this is my high variance. Okay, and because this is low bias is because we can see error is very minimum. That means my model is complex enough to understand the patterns from the data, but it is overfit. That's why this is the error gap between the training and the testing. Low bias and the low variance, that is the ideal condition. So when we have the minimum error both on training and the test, that we can see training and testing both error are less, and difference is also very less. That is, model is complex enough to understand all the patterns, and also it is generalized, so that error on training and testing both are on the not very much difference. Its score is more or less same. That is the ideal scenario, low bias and the low variance. So I hope you understood it. So what is the right balance? We have seen right balance. So we have seen this picture as before, overfitting, underfitting, and this is the good balance. So how we can lower the high bias or the underfitting? When I have the high bias, that means my model is very simple. That is an underfitting problem. That means I need to use a little complex algorithm. Okay, so first use non-parameterized algorithm, because non-parameterized algorithms are the algorithm we actually do not take any assumption of the data, and it will try to learn each and every pattern, so which are complex enough, okay, to understand the data. So use non-parameterized algorithm means non-linear algorithm, which is polynomial regression, kernel function, SVM, or whatever. Okay, or you can use KNN or something. Okay, or you can use make model more complex with the more features. Okay, it may be a case that you are using less features. Okay, if you are using the less features, that means you are not able to understand or learn the all the relationship. You are missing on some important features. So if you are not fetching all the features from your data, try to use all the important features. Don't miss on anything. Okay, so keep on adding more features on your learning model, so that you will learn the more complex relationship in the data. So this is for the low bias. If your model is having the high bias. If I am having the high variance means training and test score is differing. That is overfitting. Okay. First thing, use more data. Because if you are using more data, that means your model will not be actually able to learn just only the noise term in your training data, but it will learn the generalized pattern, because you have more and more and more data. Okay, so when you have more data, that means your model will learn the generalized patterns, not the specific noise or specific pattern limited to the training data. So more data is always useful when you are actually having the overfitting problem in your data. So most of the times you will face the overfitting problems, because nowadays your algorithms are complex enough to learn the most of the patterns from the data. Okay, so they most of the times they just overfit, they don't underfit. So you will facing the overfitting problem in your algorithm, not the underfitting problem most of the times. Okay, so if your model is overfitting, then in that case you can use the regulation techniques. L1 regulation, L2 regulation. If it is a neural network problem, then you can use dropout or early stopping. So there are a lot of out of the box techniques are available that you can use for the overfitting, handle the overfitting. Also, if you are there are also different hyperparameters given to you. which makes your model generalized. Let's say if you are using the Cannon algorithm, then you can tune the value of k. Okay, if you are going for the higher value of k, that is the number of nearest neighbor, then your model will be more or less overfit and the more generalized. Let's say in the same way, C and gamma are the hyperparameters for the SVM for to handle the overfitting. As a depth of the tree, number of the children in the last layer, uh, last level, and there are a lot of parameters which you can use in the decision tree to handle the overfitting. So you can also use the hyperparameter tuning to avoid the overfitting. Use less number of features. Let's say there are 100 of features in your data set and you are using all of them. So it is going to make your model complex. So try to manually release them one by one, okay? Or you can use the feature selection algorithm, which are most important features, you can use them, okay? Or you can use the L1 and L2. L1 and L2 also miss out on some of features. They also make them some features zero, which are not important. So they are making your model less complex. It will reduce the complexity of the model. Let's say you are using polynomial features, so go for reduce the polynomial degree. It is going to reduce your overfitting. You can also use cross validation techniques that gives you the correct picture actually how your model is behaving, so that you can train your hyperparameters. So these are the different techniques that you can use to avoid the underfitting and overfitting, and you will try to find out the balance. You try to find out the balance in your model so that you will have a generalized model which is neither underfit nor overfit. This is the right balance. Okay. So this is the cross validation we can see here. If we are going to, this is the cross validation graph between training examples and your model accuracy. Okay. So this is your training score, red one. Okay. And this is your cross validation score. Okay. So cross validation is on the unseen data and this is training on the seen data. So the first example here we can see your training accuracy is more or less 0.85, okay, and testing accuracy is around 0.75. In that case, your model is having gap in the accuracy score, then it is high variance. Okay, the model is overfit because there is a gap. Again, the score on the both the side is less than 0.9, okay, or points, let's 7. So scores are also on the lesser side. So I can say score is on the lesser side plus high variance. So it is high bias and high variance problem. This model is underfit with high bias and high variance. The second thing, the training X score is almost 1, but testing score is 0.95. In that case, my model is overfit. Okay, my model is overfit, but this is having the low bias. Why it is low bias? Because your training score and testing score both are on the higher side, 1 and 0.95. But the only problem is high variance. There is a much gap with the score. Training score is high and testing score is less. It is having the high variance and the low bias. Let's go for the third one. Here you can see high bias. Why it is high bias? Because score is on the lower side. Okay, both training and testing score on the lower side, and low variance because the gap is little as compared to this one. Okay, so my model is not overfitting. Overfitting is less, but yes, underfitting on the higher side. So I have the high bias but the low variance. Okay, this is the high bias and low variance because both the scores are on the lower side, but yes, gap is on the lower side, so it is not overfitting. This is high bias and low bias, and this is the ideal score. This is ideal when the low bias and the low variance because both the training and test score are on the higher side. Okay, and the gap is also minimum. So this is the ideal scenario with the low bias and the low is variance. Now the things come to how we find out the low bias and low variance combinations. What is the good combination? How we are going to find out? So there is an iterative process. This is an iterative process. Machine learning itself is a very iterative process. Okay. So first, let's say you are going to use one algorithm, and let's say it is going to give you some accuracy on training and test. Okay, let's say on training it is giving you, let's say 60% accuracy, and let's say test it is giving you 50% accuracy. So in that case, you can easily understood that my model is underfit. My algorithm is not complex enough to learn the underlying pattern. So this is a underfit problem. So I am going to use the more refined or more complex algorithm. So this is, I have to use the second iteration. That's in the second iteration from the linear algorithm, I'm going to use a non-linear algorithm. In that case, let's say my accuracy is coming, let's say 95%, or let's say it is coming 85%. In that case, I can easily see my complex algorithm is working by my, because my score is training and test on the higher side, but still this is a wider gap. That means my model is overfitting. Now my model is overfitting. That is more or less, that is okay, because my model is going to overfit for each and every complex algorithm. But now how can I reduce that? In the last slide, we have seen there are a lot of, we can use the hyperparameter tuning, we can use the cross validation, we can use the L1, L2 regularization. So there are a lot of techniques given to us to handle the overfitting. So we can use one by one of them. First we can use L1 and L2 with the hyperparameter tuning. Okay, let's say I'm tuning one hyperparameter. Let's say after hyperparameter tuning, it is little improved. Let's say now it is 95%, and let's say it is, let's say 87%, but it still is a gap. So I will keep on changing the parameters, the hyperparameters, and I keep on checking the train and test score. So this is an iterative process. It may take it may be a manual thing. You can manually change the value of the hyperparameter and check the value on training and test. You can also automate it using the cross validation. You can use the cross validation, and you will keep on giving different values, and it will give you the score on training and test. And on the point where your score are the same, then you can use these parameters for the final model selection. You can also use the grid search kind of thing. Grid search can take different combinations of the parameters. Okay, and finally it will give you the model train on the features which are actually on the parameters which are actually give you the highest score on the training and the test. That is the, you can use grid search cross validation. Grid search CD. So what we try to achieve, we are trying to achieve a model that is generalized with the highest accuracy. So in that case, this is the iterative process. You have to keep on manually tuning your hyperparameters. You can manually keep on changing your algorithms. You can use the automated process, like you can use grid search CV, you can use the cross validation. So but try to understand this iterative process. It will take a lot of iterations. It will take, maybe you have to go through 50 iterations to find out the perfect combination. It may be a case you will be able to find out in the 15 iterations. So there is no hard and fast rules. Okay, this is all about uh, how many how accurately you learn, or you understand your algorithm, or how accurately you understand your data. So which algorithm is going to suit your data. So this is a kind of learning, or you can say this is the experience that you will learn across when you will work on a lot of data and a lot of problems. So these kind of things would come from the experience. Okay, which parameter I need to tune, which algorithm I need to use. So this is all about the learning process. But yes, this will be iterative process to find out the right balance between the bias and the variance. And if you have, and you need to reach at that particular combination when you have the low bias and the low variance, and your model is generalized, it is not neither the overfit nor the underfit. That is the right balance. Okay, so that is all about bias and variance trade-off, all about underfitting and overfitting. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you will be able to apply all these concepts to make the model which is accurate as well as more generalized, and the right model for you. Okay, thank you very much.